Hi everyone, my name is Tim Wagon. We're here at quarantine time with Pierce Eden. Pierce is a veteran of the Avalon Stoltz Listing Room. Pierce, how many times have you been there? Have you been there
I
twice?
think, yeah, two times. First time I came through with a buddy of mine, Sam Birchfield. We shared a show. It was fantastic. And then came back. I can't even remember when. It must have been last year, ended like beginning of the fall or something like that. There was a big streets festival, and it's just a fantastic spot y'all got up there. It's a
Do you remember? Do you remember the rooms? Do you remember rooms you go into from all over the
Oh
country?
yeah. Oh, for sure. It's funny the way that, because I mean, by name, I may or may not recognize it, but put your thought to it a little bit, and I can usually recall, even the nights, in the folks and just all of it, it's filed away in there somewhere. It's just the recall is questionable.
And how many shows a year are you doing now on the road? Typically.
Well, now none, but
right.
before the virus hit, we were out, 100 dates minimum, approaching, sort of, 200 dates a year. So we were out there driving around every week, doing 3-4 shows a week. And that was going to pick up for the summer schedule, and then we were going to take a little bit of time.
Right.
I can
and Pierce, tell everybody where you're from, just so they can get a sense of where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sitting in my backyard right now in Marshall, North Carolina, which is in the hills of Western North Carolina, sort of right outside of Asheville, and sort of a little bit north and east of Asheville town there, up towards the Tennessee border.
And your situation with the virus, you were saying is, how many people are in the town, first of all?
We got a population of about 800 people.
800. And the virus is, somebody just hopped in on there. So, and the virus is, it has affected you guys in what way through this pandemic?
Well, in the county, we've had one case so far, but everybody's been at the stay-at-home order, for the last approaching 2 months now. Because the Madison County has a pretty vulnerable population. We don't have a whole lot of infrastructure. There's not a hospital to speak of, except for to go to Asheville. So they and there's quite a population. So the Madison County been quite at stay for last nearly 2 months now.
Right.
Despite the fact that we don't have a whole lot of case area or in the immediate area, I should say. There's been quite a few cases in Asheville, but that's the next county over.
Right. How's everybody? How's there just in general in a smaller town like that? Do you see people still? Do you still? I mean, you isolated. You're not really supposed to.
Not much. I do, the bare minimum of expeditions out of the house, just to get, groceries and sort of thing, and been trying to support the local businesses, any of the local shops that I can get my essential goods from is the ones that I generally sort of go to. And so I see folks there, but otherwise I've not been really doing much other than, sort of getting on social medias and playing, like a daily concert and seeing people that way.
Sure. Yeah. And you've been doing that since how long have you been doing those daily concerts, Pierce?
We just this last weekend, had a big celebration where I got, my booking agent mailed me this fancy multi-camera streaming platform. So we did a big celebration concert for the 50th stream on last Thursday. Now and then we, since I have that Sling Studio, it's called, went completely buck wild with it, and we're at like some 60 streams now. So,
Right,
you know,
right. What agency are you in? Who sent you that? Who sent you that equipment?
is Matt Washburn down in Charleston, South Carolina. And he's got his own company called Atlas Touring Company. I've been working with him for the last like couple of years, and yeah, you know, we can just he's figured that out. You know, like he went ahead and got that because, you know, streaming is the way that concerts look to be happening for the foreseeable. So he's, you know, like thinking on his feet, like the rest of the world right now, as to like how he can make the music happen, and that was what he came up with. It's pretty cool.
And
I gotta say.
what do you think about streaming? My question is, because you know, streaming has become such a big thing in the last 2 or 3 months.
Uh-huh.
Some of this is going to stick around afterwards. Do you think so? I mean, the live
Oh yeah,
concert, obviously, you're going to have live concerts, and people.
yeah.
But in some way, this is going to stick around. Do you think?
Yeah, I believe so. You know, because I mean, right now it's doing sort of both the scratching the itch and whetting the appetite. You know, like for me, you know, like as I definitely watch a bunch of shows and I think, yeah, this is cool. You know, like it's really awesome. You know, like it's kind of undeniably awesome to be able, you know, like to watch a really cool show, you know, from your couch in your pajamas. You know, like with you know, like all of your home amenities. You know, like and there's also undeniably something lost about not being in the room when it's happening.
Yeah. You know, we did our first one with an artist named Amy Black last week, and well, we streamed yours. We cross promoted yours, but this
Thanks.
was one that she did as part of the. Sure, you're welcome. As part of the Stoltz listening room shows, and the one part I really missed was being able to go like this at the end. You know, I missed the sound, I missed all of it.
Yeah, well, and as an artist, you know, like up on stage, you know, like without that feedback, you know, like it puts the void into the, you know, like into the sort of the flow of the show. It's an adjustment for sure, because you just sort of put it out there, and whenever you hear clapping, you know, like, you know, all right, well, they're digging it, and you can sort of gauge, you know, like where to go from there, you know, like but you know, like with the streaming platforms, you know, like, I mean, it's nice to watch the hearts go floating up the screen or whatever if you're in a position to see the phone, but it's not the same, you know. You know, it's just, you know, it is not the same at all.
So,
yeah.
Piers, I wonder if you could tell everybody about your background a little bit, how you got in, when did you started playing, you know, and that sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was, you know, Madison County is pretty rural. So you get the sense, you know, like I'm sitting in the woodshed right now. And so, you know, like it's also sort of a hub for a lot of old time music. There's communities out here that keep the oral tradition alive, you know, like about, you know, like storytelling and songwriting and handing down, you know, like those folk traditions. That's a big part of the culture out here. And so it was always kind of around. And, you know, like I, you know, started playing guitar, you know, like I took lessons as like an 8-year-old or something, and that lasted like maybe 2 weeks or something before I found out, you know, like before I found out my guitar teacher had an awesome train set, you know, like then it was all over after that, you know, like, and so then I didn't pick it up again until, you know, like teenage years. I really kind of wanted, my brother was playing the guitar, and I picked up the bass, and we wanted to just sort of garage band, you know, like it was the 90s. And so that was kind of where I began to cut my teeth into actually playing in front of people, and writing, you know, like that I just sort of fell into writing the songs for the band, and you know, and then, you know, like had a couple of good shows and a lot, you know, like, and a couple of bad shows that we thought were awesome, you know, like you know, like proper getting started to kids and music, you know, like, and I just haven't really put it down since, you know. That band obviously fell apart, but you know, like I just picked up the guitar in the absence of having a guitar. I just sort of figured it out from there, and then been doing it since.
Well, I read some of your bio, and it said that you were, you know, really into punk, for a while. Are you
Yep.
and I mean, I love punk rock, myself,
Yep.
and I was a big Replacements fan. Those guys really changed things for
Sure.
me in terms
Yeah.
of where it took me musically. It just opened me up to so much more of everything from your music to even Joni Mitchell at the time. But
Right.
who were you listening to? What kind of punk were you? What bands?
Oh man, there's a lot, because I mean, I've sort of found punk music through, like the '90s grunge thing, and so, like it went sort of from Pearl Jam to Sonic Youth to all the way over into like from there into Black Flag and all and the Replacements where they were in the Melvins and stuff like that. Getting into these like sort of just big ripping guitars, and just that ethos of like we're gonna do it on our own here, and who cares if it's not polished,
Right.
and so like that is what really kind of stuck with me and maintains, I mean, Social Distortion was a thing when Mike Ness came out with that country album, he he it was sort of amazing because I had already sort of been listening to folk music and thinking, oh, this is like that, like in the arrogance of youth, like like not
Right.
realizing it was actually vice versa,
Right.
Yep.
Well, yeah, a lot of the old punk bands, especially out west in California, once they got old enough to where they were like, oh, I'm kind of done with punk, they moved into Arizona and they started picking up the fiddle, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the fiddle got into punk rock a little bit.
Yeah.
How did you say, okay, well, I've got this sort of rural background, the storytelling background, and you say, I'm going to try and mix that with what I love about punk rock. How'd you do that?
I just sort of fell into it, because I mean, like I said, like we were doing those sort of garage bandy shows and like jumping around and having fun with it, and that really stuck with me, like it's just how much fun it is, to do, and how much it like sort of communicates emotion across, like, and so like when when my tastes began to sort of change and sort of revert back to what I was listening to as a kid, like um I started playing like sort of more numbers and sitting down and found that I just really missed that extra raw energy,
Right.
so it just kind of happened, like I like I just started playing the folky tunes a little bit faster, put a kick drum to it and hollered, you know
Right.
and so ended up where I am now,
Well, it's very hard to do, and it's very hard to do, really well. And for anybody who hasn't seen one of Pierce's shows, I think the reason I know that you were back back quickly was because we actually wanted you to come back right away because the fans were so excited after you played the first time that we knew they were going to tell people to come in and check out this act. So if you get a chance to see Pierce anywhere, as this goes online, you should definitely, take that opportunity, because that's, like I said, that's pretty hard to do what you do, and to make it feels like a good country rock punk show or whatever. You know what I mean? It's right in tune. And your guitar player you're playing with now, you still playing with the same guy?
Oh yeah, Kevin Reese. He's like amazingly sort of like got his similar story in that like he's grew up out here in Madison County as well, kind of more in the bluegrass tradition, like he's a part of family bands and that sort of thing, and then in his teenage years signed on with cover bands and stuff, because he just had the guitar skills, and when you're a kid, like you take what's available. You have your buddies and you do your shows, and so they had a number of cover bands, bouncing around. Just got into playing guitar and writing songs, and I got lucky enough to find him. Because we didn't. There's 10 years between us. I didn't meet him in school or anything like that.
Right.
But it's a pretty small community out here in general, and it's even smaller when you start talking about musicians and whatnot. So just got lucky enough to run into him and play a couple of tunes, and been sort of in the van since.
Well, you guys are really lucky you fell into each other, and not only that, you can tell you put the work in, because it really complement each other really nice, and you kind of can see that you guys know where each other's going. And again, it's a really great live show.
Thank you.
Just a couple more questions, Pearson, I'll let you go. How does that translate to plays on? Do you watch your Spotify account after you go into an area? And I noticed you have one song called Montana, which has got a huge number of plays. Yeah. And everything else has a large number of plays. Can you tell when people are vibing on you?
Yeah,
and in the concert.
Well, online it's harder for me because I'm fairly, I'm sort of a late adopter to a lot of technology. I'm not terribly advanced as far as figuring out how to stream shows happened, in March. I just don't. I try to spend as much time away from the screens as I can. It just in general.
I got you.
So online, paid a certain amount of attention to it, and a lot more attention to it recently, considering that's where everything is happening now. Mm-hmm. But in the live context, yeah, it's very clear, when it's communicating and kind of what, because it really does feel like a conversation, because like you say, what Kevin and I have done, and having just two guys on stage makes us very, very flexible and very, very sort of agile in the moment. And so we've taken to just not writing a set list and just, and just sort of calling which song feels appropriate to the room at any given point,
Well, also too, for what you guys are doing, you really got to fill a lot of space, and you just do a really great job at that. So
well, thank you.
I really. Before we get going here, tell everybody what you're doing you're doing a show once a day now.
Yeah, that's right. It was just sort of a thing that I again just kind of fell into, because at the outset of this, we had sort of immediately went home, stay-at-home order, and all the gigs were drying up, and so I just started going on to Facebook and streaming live every day, just one or two songs, and that sort of developed into, now I'm streaming on Instagram and Facebook, and it's still every day about 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, and just updating people on the gardening projects that I've got going on here in the backyard.
And, a lot of gardening going on in America.
A lot of gardening going on right now. I got chickens, and and we had gardening going before this hit. I've just been doing a lot more of it.
Sure.
But it's and it's just been a real pleasant sort of daily check-in, and it gives me sort of the minimum of normalcy, and it lets me kind of just do a couple of songs, which I find to be essential, and it's
Sure.
been really nice to connect with people, in the comments section every day afterwards.
I know you didn't know about streaming, but do you know about PayPal and Venmo?
Yeah, that was in the other thing too. So I got started doing it, and my music manager Dustin, and Melissa, they were like, you got to throw up a tip jar on there online. And it's like, well, how would I do that? And they worked it out for me. So that's been a real lifesaver too.
Yeah. And listen, for anybody who's out there listening, we're finishing watching this interview, take a second and check out one of Pierce's shows. Around 4:00 every day he runs them, because it is, for a two-piece band, it is really just a great display of music. And you know, you guys could be opening for anybody who wants a high energy, who needs a high energy opening, you know, tuneful act. Should be checking out Pierce Edens, because Pierce, we love you up here, and I really appreciate you taking the time
Oh yeah.
to talk to us. Where are you on Facebook and Instagram? What are your call numbers or whatever you call it, or
Yeah,
tags?
it's just Pierce Edens is spelled, you know, like Pierce, and then Edens, like the garden. Yeah, but two of them, you know, like this. You know,
That's
like
a nice thought. We'll end on that thought.
yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying for out here. You know, like I'll come up short, but keep on swinging. You
Hey
know.
man, yeah, that's right. Keep on doing that. Sounds good, Pierce. Um,
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Pierce Edens, and
Hey,
check him out on Facebook, Instagram. It's a
yeah.
great act. You will not be disappointed. Thanks, Pierce.
Yeah.